So we're here backstage with Luke from Elevation Worship, and he just played his heart out, so he's a little sweaty.
Bound to happen.
So just wanted to answer or ask him some of your questions. One of them that came in was, what cymbals are you playing?
Ooh, these are actually backlined Zildjian cymbals. It was nice to not actually have to go through customs with my personal cymbals, and that's kind of something I was looking forward to. But they're 14-inch A-custom hi-hats. It was a 20-inch medium. I can't even remember. Was it A-series medium crash? I think so. A-series or A-custom. I can't honestly remember. I'm sorry. And then it was a 22K light ride. Oh no, it was not.
It was a loaner.
It was a loaner from a very generous friend, and we'll leave that like that. And the other one was a K Constantinople 18-inch Dark Crash, which actually was very awesome. I don't normally play 18-inch, except for the Holy Crash or like the effects or the special dry effects cymbal. That's from Zildjian, but it was nice to play an actual crash that's 18-inch. So yeah, they were great.
Sweet. Another question that came in was,
The loaner.
what ProMark sticks are you using?
I have played for a long, long time now, 6 years, the ProMark 5B Hickory Naturals. And part of why I like the Naturals, that means they don't have any finish on them. They're slightly lighter, and they actually, because I sweat when I play, I don't know if everyone sweats, I feel like they should if you play drums. They don't get slippery, and they feel like a very worn-in pair of regular sticks. Like when the lacquer starts to kind of fade a little bit from the dirt on your hands, they start out brand new like that feeling. So I love them. I love the weight of them. I love 5B because I have big, fat hands, and they just feel like normal sticks. I actually used to play 5As, and when I switched, I was like, oh my God, why was I playing 5As? Because they were just too tiny for my big hands. So yeah, I love that stick, and you should try it out. It's awesome.
Sweet. Another question is, how did you start playing drums for Elevation? Like, did you start somehow? I know there's a youth group, but did you go through the ranks, or how did you get noticed to the point of touring with Elevation Worship?
So that's an interesting question. I moved when I was 18 from Washington State to North Carolina, and was actually kind of a part of a different ministry that was kind of focused on prayer and different conferences around, different national like prayer events for the nation and stuff like that. And that lasted about a year. And then I moved to Germany for 2.5 years with a group, and we played pretty heavily over there. And I came home back to Charlotte and got a call from a guy, one of the worship leaders there, and he said, hey, one of our drummers is sick. I'm a worship leader at this church called Elevation. I got your name from such and such, and would you be able to fill in a weekend? And there was maybe 2,500 people at the church. And I said, yeah, I'm actually free this week. I will be happy to do that. And I showed up and played, and didn't know anyone. And I thought it was a very different church. It was kind of shocking. And then you know how relationships start, and it was just my little local church that I decided to start being a part of, start giving to. And that's kind of how it happened. I did not have a clue what it was going to turn into. So I just felt like the Lord called me to that church, and I felt like I was supposed to be connected. It wasn't to try to get something from it. And I think that's an important thing. I know it, it's easy to want to look at something and say, I want that, but it's also not the right way to look at a situation. You have to say, where did the Lord put me? And where am I supposed to be investing my time, my money? Where am I supposed to be giving? Where am I supposed to be receiving from the Lord? And that's the most important thing. And it just so happened that Elevation became what it became. But it started out just small church that I felt like the Lord said, this is where I want you to be plugged into.
So good.
Yeah.
So, anyone wanting a similar platform in terms of playing drums at with a big worship ministry that tours or something, what advice would you give them?
Man, I could answer that in two ways. One would be to invest in your gifting and don't just rely on it. That's a big one. I know people are gifted and they rely so much on their gifting, but they're just like a lazy gifted person. And that's kind of sad and frustrating to see that so much in the church. Invest in your gifting and practice and be as diligent as you can to grow and be a good steward of your gifts. It talks about gifts in the Bible a lot, so be a good steward of your gifts. On a spiritual note, I think like pursuing that can be an interesting thing to try to do. I know everyone that's in a position like Jesus Culture, Hillsong, I guess I'm more talking about the drummers that I know that become friends. They all just were involved in their local church and or ministry or youth group, and it just so happened to become something like that. So I would say the most important thing is be diligent at where the Lord's put you and invest in where the Lord's put you. I didn't start playing at Elevation to be the traveling drummer. I played at Elevation because it was where I felt like the Lord called me to be, and we constantly for years talked, we are not going to tour, we're not going to be a traveling band, we're going to be connected to Charlotte, North Carolina, and that was what we were told, and that's what we were going to invest into the local church.
Wow.
And then the Lord had different plans, and all of a sudden Pastor Stephen felt like it was time to start being a good steward of what the Lord has given us as a platform. So in a roundabout way, if you want to do what Elevation Worship is doing, I would say be so into your local church where the Lord's put you, and be as good of a steward as you can with that worship team, with what you can do. Don't feel entitled. Don't get a negative attitude for feeling like you're not there. Elevation Worship is still learning so much, and I feel like we're not there in a lot of ways.
Wow.
You might not notice that from an outside perspective, but I've never felt like I've just arrived somewhere. I feel like I'm in a constant journey. So yeah, like really follow the Lord first and ask the Lord what He wants for your life, and don't seek something, because He'll have to take that away from you if that's not what the Lord's plan is for you.
Crazy.
I don't want to be mean, but I would say that's the best answer I could give you for that.
Love it.
Yeah.
2 questions. This one is more pertaining to worship drummer and our motto of heart before beat.
Yeah.
If you could give one practical way you consciously put Jesus first in all of everything that you do. What would you say you do to prepare spiritually?
I honestly think the more that I practically prepare in the week leading up, the more I actually can have a right heart and a right focused heart in the moment versus being stressed about what parts I'm playing. That's a practical aspect of it. Is I can tell, I know when I'm not prepared enough and my focus is on my physical, what I'm doing physically, and when I am prepared enough and when I can actually focus on what the main reason is for doing what we're doing. That's kind of and we all know when we're relying on past effort and when we're relying on fresh effort.
That's good.
Yeah, that's one practical way that I actually felt convicted about in the past, where I'm like, man, I'm not relying on like fresh oil. I'm relying on old chops, old skill sets. I'm not, you know what I mean? And there's a very big difference even with what you bring to the Lord as an offering. I really don't like using words like season and offering and oil, but I've used all of them. Yeah.
Love it. And last question, and thanks so much for your time, is what did you think of tonight? How did it go? We're here in Toronto.
I loved it. I loved it's one thing to see a turnout of people that are spectators and trying to kind of see what's going on. It's another thing to feel like people are showing up to be a part and to participate in what's happening. And it felt like that tonight. It didn't feel like a circus in a sense of like, all right, let's see how if you can entertain me, arms crossed. It was like, let's get engaged. We can't wait to start and start worshiping together.
Yeah.
That was really exciting. And just to see the growth of this GTA Elevation campus is awesome. It's really cool to see, kind of connect more with the team up here, and just see people like starting to believe and dream for their country in a different way. I know that can take time, and it can take a lot of work to get people to open up, because it's scary to dream like that and believe big. Especially the older you get, seeing older people have dreams like that and believe and not be burnt out and weary of dreaming. I felt like there's a lot of anticipation in the air, and I loved it. I love being a part of it. It was great. It was awesome.
Sweet. Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
It's
Big
always
time.
good. Always good connecting, and oil.